What happens when the king of the lightweight division faces off against his former mentor in a public showdown that nearly turns violent? This is no ordinary boxing beef, it's personal, and it's explosive. The fighters in question? Gervonta Tank Davis and Floyd Money Mayweather, a once dynamic dream team turned bitter enemies. The scene that unfolded was nothing short of dramatic. The two boxing icons met in a charity event, where fans were expecting the usual blend of professionalism and photo ops. But instead, they got an unforgettable spectacle. The tension between the two had been building for months, and when they came face to face, it was clear that the relationship between mentor and protege had soured beyond repair. A handshake turned into a public snub, some heated words were exchanged, and a shove reverberated throughout the boxing world. This wasn't just a minor confrontation, it was a boiling over of a feud that had been simmering for years. At the heart of this drama was a handshake, or rather, the lack of one. When Floyd extended his hand to Tank, the moment was supposed to signify mutual respect, but Floyd reportedly gave Tank a dismissive look and then pulled his hand away at the last second. It was a subtle gesture, but in the world of boxing where egos are as large as the paychecks, it was an enormous sign of disrespect. Tank, feeling insulted, didn't let the moment slide. He immediately moved into Floyd's personal space, and the atmosphere shifted from casual to chaotic. The verbal exchange that followed was intense, with Tank making it clear that he wasn't going to let Floyd get away with that kind of disrespect. To fully understand why this incident hit so hard, we need to delve into the history between the two fighters. Gervonta Davis wasn't just another boxer under the wing of Floyd Mayweather, he was the prodigy, the one Floyd had taken under his tutelage with the promise of greatness. Floyd had seen potential in Tank from a young age, and their relationship began years before Tank reached the heights of his career. Floyd recalled how Tank had come to him as a young kid seeking an autograph, and Floyd, recognizing his potential, predicted that he would be a world champion one day. As Floyd's protege, Tank's rise was orchestrated by the man himself training him, guiding his career, and setting him on the path to becoming a superstar. But as Tank's fame and success grew, cracks began to form in their relationship. Floyd had always been in control, managing Tank's career with a firm hand. However, Tank was a fighter who wanted to forge his own path. Tensions were sparked when Floyd expressed concerns over Tank staying in his hometown of Baltimore. Floyd felt that the distractions of Baltimore could hinder Tank's progress and offered him an apartment in Las Vegas, along with a Jeep, in an attempt to keep him focused. Tank, however, rejected the offer. Instead, he sold the furniture and the car and went back to Baltimore to buy a Benz. This move marked the first sign that Tank was no longer content to stay under Floyd's shadow. As Tank's star continued to rise, so did the distance between him and Floyd. Rumors swirled that Floyd's controlling tendencies were causing friction. Tank began to make it clear that he wanted to be in charge of his own career. In an interview, Tank openly stated that it was time for him to take control of his destiny. "It's my career, so I need to be the one to control it," he said. "It's time to ride without training wheels." This was a clear message that Tank was ready to step away from Floyd's influence and become his own boss. From that moment on, the relationship between the two had been marked by increasingly bitter exchanges. Floyd threw shade at Tank's legal issues and his decisions outside the ring, while Tank fired back, calling Floyd self-absorbed and unwilling to share the spotlight. The handshake incident was merely the latest chapter in this ongoing feud, one that had been building for years. So, what sparked the latest fallout? According to Tank, Floyd's dismissive attitude during the handshake felt like a deliberate jab. He didn't mince words when describing the encounter, stating that he knew Floyd was subbing him. He was clear in his belief that Floyd had been trying to undermine him. Tank's frustration was palpable, and it seemed that the tension had finally reached a boiling point. Tank was done with playing second fiddle. He was no longer content to be the little brother to Floyd's big brother. Tank's defiance was evident in the words he shared in an interview shortly after the incident. He wasn't just upset about the handshake, he was angry that Floyd, in his eyes, had failed to recognize his growth. "I'm at that point where I've passed him," Tank said. "I'm doing it at a young age." Tank was confident that he had surpassed Floyd, both in terms of his career trajectory and his ability to make a name for himself in the sport. Floyd's reaction to the fallout was equally telling. While he may have tried to downplay the incident, his actions spoke volumes. Floyd had never been one to shy away from drama, and his calculated mind games were a hallmark of his personality. It was clear that Floyd knew exactly how to get under Tank's skin. Whether it was the dismissive handshake or the shade he threw at Tank's career choices, Floyd knew how to provoke his former protege. He knew that the tension would not only fuel the drama, but also keep them in the public eye. For Tank, the drama with Floyd seemed to be an ongoing distraction. The pressure of constantly being in the spotlight, coupled with legal troubles and the fallout with Floyd, had taken its toll. Despite these challenges, Tank had continued to dominate in the ring, but it was clear that he was dealing with a lot outside of it. The question on everyone's mind was whether Tank could stay focused enough to keep his momentum going, or if the drama surrounding him would derail his career. As Tank prepared for his next big fight against Lamont Roach, the weight of the ongoing feud with Floyd hung heavy in the air. Roach, a skilled fighter in his own right, was quietly preparing for one of the biggest challenges of his career. Despite all the media frenzy surrounding Tank and Floyd, Roach was focused on one thing: beating Tank. But could Tank keep his focus amid the chaos? Critics had already begun to question whether the drama surrounding him would affect his performance in the ring. Tank, however, was not one to back down from a challenge. His confidence was unwavering, and he made it clear that he wasn't worried about the distractions. He was prepared for the fight of his life, determined to prove that nothing could take him off course. But in the back of his mind, the tension with Floyd was still simmering. Floyd had a way of getting into Tank's head, and many wondered if the mental games would affect Tank's focus during the fight. Roach, a more methodical fighter, could capitalize on any emotional lapses from Tank. In the lead-up to the fight, Tank made it clear that he wasn't going to let any distractions get in the way. He was focused on winning, but the question remained: would the pressure of the ongoing feud with Floyd cause him to lose his focus? Tank's mental strength would be tested like never before, and a loss to Roach could have serious repercussions for his career. Not only would it damage his reputation, but it could also undermine his position as one of the most dominant fighters in the world. As the fight against Roach loomed, tensions were high. Floyd's rumored involvement in Roach's camp only added another layer of complexity to the situation. Although Floyd had not officially joined Roach's corner, his presence was felt. His guidance could give Roach a psychological edge, and Tank knew that. This was a level of betrayal that Tank wasn't ready for. Floyd's actions had gone beyond verbal jabs. By supporting Tank's opponent, he was actively trying to get inside Tank's head. The history between Floyd and Tank was far from simple. Tank had once looked up to Floyd as a mentor, but their relationship had deteriorated over the years. Floyd's controlling tendencies and Tank's desire to branch out on his own had led to a bitter split. Floyd's comments about Tank's career and his willingness to take sides against Tank only added fuel to the fire. The bad blood between the two was undeniable, and it was clear that their feud was far from over. As the fight with Roach approached, it became clear that Tank's legacy was on the line. A loss would not only derail his career, but also tarnish his reputation as one of boxing's most dominant figures. The stakes couldn't have been higher. If Tank could defeat Roach and silence his critics, it would be a statement of his resilience and focus. But if he faltered, it would be a major setback. Despite all the distractions, Tank remained confident. He was ready for the fight of his life, and he knew that he had the skills to defeat Roach. But with Floyd's shadow looming large over him, it remained to be seen whether Tank could keep his emotions in check and perform at his best. The drama, the rivalries, and the pressure of being one of the most talked about fighters in the world all hung heavy on Tank's shoulders. But one thing was clear: Tank was ready to prove that he was in control of his own destiny.